What do the rules of Gremlins have to do with your mindset? And it's a lot more than you think. So let's start to break it down. You know the rules. Don't feed them after midnight. Don't get them wet. Don't expose them to bright lights. But did you know that Gremlins can actually teach us a really important lesson about self-sabotage? And you're really going to want to hear this. Now, we all know the chaos that Gremlins cause when they break the rules, right? But what happens when we break the rules in our own lives? And I'm talking about specifically when we let self-sabotage start to creep in. And self-sabotage can be one of the biggest obstacles in business and in personal growth. So in this video, we'll talk about how to spot it and more importantly, how to stop it from derailing your success. And let's take a couple of lessons from those mischievous wee creatures. Now, in the movie Gremlins, we're given three very simple rules. Don't feed them after midnight, don't get them wet, don't expose them to bright lights. And that seems really simple enough, right? But as we all know, once those rules are broken, chaos completely breaks out. Gremlins start to multiply, they become uncontrollable, and everything spirals into disaster. Now, tell me if that sounds vaguely familiar, and I'm talking about more than just watching the movie. Often self-sabotage works in the exact same way. We think we can handle small mistakes or slip-ups, but when we don't set boundaries for ourselves, it creates a cascade effect that derails our progress. And much like the rules in Gremlins, we often set personal boundaries that, when they're ignored, lead to chaos in our lives. And this could look like breaking your morning routine, not sticking to your workout plan, or letting self-doubt creep in during really big moments. And when you allow small acts of self-sabotage to completely slide by, they all start to build up. One small moment of procrastination here, one missed goal there, and suddenly you've got a full-blown crisis of confidence. Just like the Gremlins, completely wreaking havoc. So one of the first takeaway lessons is to learn to create your personal boundaries and actually stick to them. Set clear rules for yourself and never let self-sabotage sneak in. Your mindset can only be strong if you set it up for success from the very start. And the most iconic rule from Gremlins is not to feed them after midnight. But we've all seen the result that overindulgence creates chaos. In the same way of overindulging in negative thought patterns or procrastination can lead to long-term issues. Just like gremlins, your negative thoughts multiply and grow stronger when you feed them. So we have to look at ways to not feed the procrastination, not feed the negative thoughts. Because once we fall into that trap, it does multiply at a rapid rate. And before we know it, we're falling into old habits or bad habits, and then we're questioning why we're not making any sort of progress. I mean, think about it. How many times have you ever overthought a decision, started allowing doubt to fester until it spirals into full-on self-sabotage? And that's the same thing as feeding your inner gremlin after midnight. So be mindful of what you're feeding your mind. Start to limit the negativity and create a routine that feeds the positivity, the focus, and the growth. And the more you feed your mindset with the right influences, the fewer chances self-sabotage actually has to take hold. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to find the ways to completely eradicate self-sabotage by not feeding it in the first place. And if this video is starting to resonate with you and you're ready to start taking control of your mindset, I've got a couple of things that might help. If you go over to the website in the comments, you can check out the Mindset Toolkit, or you can take on our Slow Drip 5-day challenge, helping you to build confidence and create this consistent plan of actions to stop you falling into self-sabotage. Just check out the link in the description. Move on to the third rule of the bright lights. And Gremlins, exposure to bright lights weakens them. In a similar way, facing your fears and shining a light on your self-sabotage is the best way to diminish its power. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it's usually a sign that you're avoiding something. And I know it's something I'm very guilty of, and I've probably done it a couple of times this week, where it's fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of success. All of that starts to come into overwhelm, and then you start to procrastinate. So you can see how all these things spiral really quickly. But when you shine a light on your fears, they're no longer as powerful. The more you face your fears head on, the less likely self-sabotage will hold you back. And a good step for that, or a good takeaway you can have, is the next time you feel that fear is creeping in or find yourself self-sabotaging, stop and reflect on it. Shine a light on the problem, and then that will start to diminish its power over you. You all hear that great saying about face your fears, which is easier said than done sometimes. However, there's a lot of truth into it. If you do face your fears head on, you do put them at the front so you can see them very clearly, it's very easy to tackle it. Much, much more difficult when you're constantly living in a state of denial and not facing those fears. So just like the Gremlins, self-sabotage can spiral out of control if you don't manage it. But if you stick to your rules, face your fears, and avoid feeding those negative thoughts, you can stop self-sabotage from running the show. Take control of your mindset and create the success you deserve. If you found this video helpful, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway or let me know how you've actually overcame self-sabotage in your own life. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and head over to the website to grab some of those freebies. And let's keep growing together.